discuss the Bhagavad Gita. It's always very beautiful to discuss. Once there was a priest, and all his life he used to give religious sermons. And so one day his final breath came, and then he walked up to the pearly gates. And he thought, my whole life I've spoken about God. So definitely I would be able to get in. So he got to the gates of the heaven, and then they checked his record, like you have a criminal record check, they were checking his record. So they said, you did good, but one more life, you have to go back. One more. He said, what do you mean? My whole life I was speaking about God. And then as he was trying to argue his case, then another person came by. He had also just died. He came to the gates. He was a taxi driver. So then they checked his record, and they said, yes, you come in. So the taxi driver just got through. So this priest said, this is an injustice. My whole life I spoke about God, and this taxi driver just went through. How is it possible? I want to see the manager. So God appeared. So God said, see, look, the thing is, every time you spoke about God, people just went to sleep. So you never actually reminded anyone of God. You just put people to sleep. Oh no. Then he said, oh, but I don't understand. What about that taxi driver? What did he do? God said the way he used to drive his car, people were praying to God. So don't make me turn into a taxi driver. Please all stay awake today. Otherwise I'll have to come back for putting you all to sleep. So I'm really happy to be here with you, but there's nothing to sleep actually. The Bhagavad Gita is an amazing book. It's actually the third biggest circulated book in the world. Did you know that? Yeah. The first circulated book in the world is? Bible. Yes. And you know number 2? Harry Potter. Yeah, have you read Harry Potter? No. Good. Let me show you the Bhagavad Gita. So the Bhagavad Gita is actually widely circulated. Srila Prabhupada, this is Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada's book. He said that nearly 80 million to 100 million copies have been distributed around the world. I think around the world. And these books, it said that we should spend time every single day studying them. Why? Because there are so many books in the Vedas. Right? Do you know how many books there are in the Vedas? If you were to fill up this room, it still wouldn't be enough space to contain all the books of knowledge of the Vedas. But there's a very, very beautiful analogy, because sometimes we look at all of the books and we think, how will I read them all? So there's a beautiful analogy given. In Sanskrit it goes like this. Sarvapa nishado gavo dogda go palanandana parthavatsa subhir bhokta dugdam ghitam vitam mahat. Very beautiful. Sarvapa nishado gavo. What's a gavo? Cow. Yeah, good. You also sing about cow. So Sarvapa nishado gavo. Imagine all the scriptures are like one cow. And then Dogda Gopalanandana. There is someone who is milking the cow. Who is milking the cow? Krishna. And there is someone who is drinking the milk. And who is that? Partha Vatsa. Vatsa means a calf. And Partha means Arjun. So Arjun is drinking the milk. And the milk which is coming out, Dugdam Gitam Ritam Mahat. What is the milk which comes out of the cow? Bhagavad Gita. So why does a cow exist? To give milk. And therefore, all of the scriptures in the world, if they're compared to the cow, then the essence of all of those scriptures is contained within Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, you only have to read this one book, Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Don't keep it on the shelf, as it is. That's not the meaning. We must read. So therefore it's very beautiful. Srila Prabhupada has presented it. Even if you don't know Sanskrit, put your hands up if you don't know Sanskrit. It's therefore it's all translated into English. I won't say put your hands up if you don't know English. I'm sure you will know English. So we have this opportunity, and it said, Madine Mashanam Pumsham Jalashnaram Nivedine Gita Shakrit Bhashishnaram Samsara Madanashanam. Every single day, what do? Jalashnaram Dine. Every single day you have a bath with water to cleanse the body. So simultaneously, similarly, it said every day you should have a bath with the words of the Bhagavad Gita to cleanse the mind. So this is our great opportunity. So before I pick a verse, does anyone have any topic or any question or anything that's on your mind? Then I'm happy to take a guidance from you if you have something you're interested in learning about. Does anyone have? Okay, yes. What's your name?
Anvi.
Anvi?
Anvi.
Anvi?
Yes.
A-N-V-I?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, tell us.
I want to learn how to play the instruments.
Okay. Is there another part to that question? Or is that the full question?
There's another part.
Okay, yeah. So you want to learn to play the instruments? Okay, that's great.
And I also want to learn all the lessons in the Bhagavad Gita.
And you want to learn all the lessons in the Bhagavad Gita? Okay.
I think it is important because if I learn them, keep them in my mind every single day, I will become more happier and I can apply them whenever I need them in my life.
Wonderful. Yes. I think you should be on this seat, not me. Yes. If you learn the Gita. So do you have a question? Or you just wanted to share that with us?
I also want to share something. So when I was around 10 years old, now I'm 11.
All those years back.
So we were then in Bloemfontein in Free State. So we were there. We used to live there, and there used to be this Buro market where we used to collect fresh veggies from farmers.
Okay.
And then we were walking across the street, and then a car, it almost hit me.
Wow.
But luckily, it stopped right on time and it didn't hit. I was this close to being dead, and I survived. And I am thankful for God for keeping me alive, and that is why I want to learn the Bhagavad Gita.
Amazing. Okay, we're happy Krishna saved you. Thank you so much. Okay, so then let's take your lead. Let's talk about what happens at the time of death. Shall we talk about that? Just in case. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm sure it won't. But let's talk about what Krishna says happens at the time of death. Okay? So if you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ki jai. Arjun is speaking to Krishna and they're having a conversation on the battlefield. The battlefield is a very unpredictable place because on the battlefield there is danger at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam desham. The Shastra says in this world, at every step you take, there's a danger. Therefore you stepped and there was danger, but Krishna saved you. And therefore the battlefield is a very, very dangerous place. But Krishna says that this whole world is like a battlefield. We are here today, but we don't know if we will be here tomorrow, because anything can happen. In one day, everything can change. Some of us have noticed how in this world something unpredictable can just happen very, very quickly. Actually, they say in the world, 75% of people, they die without writing a will. You understand will? They say where there's a will, there's a relative. There is a will, there's a way. So therefore, that's very interesting. That means that 75% of people, either they thought they were not going to die, or they didn't want to think that one day I'm going to die. Therefore, they didn't write a will. But death came. Once Yudhishthira was having a conversation with Yamaraj, and Yamaraj asked him a question. What is the most amazing thing in the world? And you know what Yudhishthira's reply was? Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti hayamalayam sheshastavar michanti kimascharyam atavaram. Yudhishthira said, every single day people are leaving this world. Shesha stavara vichanti, but I think I will live here forever. Kimascharyam atavaram. What can be more amazing than this? So Arjun is very, very aware that he could die at any moment. And therefore he asks the most crucial question to Krishna. What happens at the time of death? And in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the science of what happens at the moment when we breathe our last breath. And this is what Krishna says to Arjuna. Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kadevadam yaprayati samadbhava yati nasyatra samsaya. So you're listening carefully? You can repeat after me. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone. It's not me. And once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So do you remember of what there is no doubt? That if you remember your body, if you quit the body at the end of life remembering Krishna, then what happens? You attain Krishna's nature. So this is very, very powerful. So let us today discuss this point. But before that, I'll just say some prayers. Om Ajnana Tasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Mano Krishnan Sapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamrayam Dadati Swakarantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Paramanan Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagrana Lagaratamritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Vadan Sagrana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosture Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Krishna explains that we are not this body, we are the Atma within this body. And therefore at the time of death, what happens is this Atma leaves the body and the Atma goes and travels to the next body. Generally it's said that it takes 13 days for the Atma to travel from one body to the next. Of course, this is general, not in all cases. Therefore, when someone leaves the world, in spiritual culture, what do we do after they pass away? For 13 days, we do prayers. And what do we do when someone passes away? Then the very first thing they do in India, if someone passes away at sunrise, then by sunset, what has happened? Their body is burned. And if someone dies at sunset, then it's said that before sunrise, their body should be burned. Why? Because the soul is very attached to the body. And therefore, by burning the body, you allow the soul to continue on to the next destination, to cut the attachment. So now the question arises that what is the mechanism which decides where the soul goes in their next body? Do you know there are some children who remember their previous lives? Is there anyone in the room who remembers their previous life? No one? There are some children who remember their previous lives. There's one scientist, his name is Ian Stevenson, and he's documented 5,000 cases of children remembering their previous lives. They begin to explain who they were, where they were, who their family was, how they died. Like this, they remember everything. Sometimes in a place across the world, like a kid grows up in South Africa, and they begin to remember they were in their past life in China, for example. And then he goes back in time and he sees that such a person actually existed. So reincarnation is a reality. Did you know in India, anything can happen? So in India, once in the Times of India newspaper, they documented the first case ever where someone was a witness in their own murder trial. Because what happened is someone died, murdered, and then they got reincarnated, but that case was unsolved. They didn't know who did the murder. But then this person got reincarnated, and then he remembered his previous life. So he went to the police, he said, I know who murdered me in the last life. They said, what do you mean? They said, no, Bhagavan Gita said, reincarnation, I remember. So they said, who? Who was it? So then he gave the name. So then they did the whole investigation. They said, this perfectly fits. It must be true. So there in the court of India, someone was standing as a witness in their own murder trial. That's why it's this happens in India. So it's very true. Have you ever been to a place that you've never been to and felt like it's very familiar? Is it? Has it happened? Deja vu, they call it. Or sometimes you meet someone that you've never met before and you feel like, I know this person. This person. So it's many things reincarnation explains. So Krishna here in this verse is saying, what is the mechanism? What it determines where you go in your next life? And here Krishna says, whatever you think about at the time of death, Yas Maradi, whatever is in your smana, whatever you're remembering, that's where you will go. So you have to be very careful what you remember. One time, one of our devotees, he was a very good devotee, so he was in Mayapur, so then he was swimming in the Ganga. So I don't know if you've ever swum in the Ganga, but when you go in and the Ganga pushes you out, but then at a certain point there's an undercurrent, so then the Ganga pulls you in, and then you can drown. So he went in and then he got pulled in, and he was drowning in the Ganga. And as he was drowning, he thought, my God, this is going to be the end of my life. And then somehow or other, one devotee pulled him out, so he's saved. So the devotee said to him, you were just about to die. What were you thinking of at that moment? And he said, you're not going to believe what I was thinking of. You know what he was thinking of? Because he was drowning, so there were many bubbles. So you know what he remembered? I don't know if they had in South Africa, there was this advert. Mild green, fairy liquid. Did you ever have that advert here? There was an advert for fairy liquid. It was like a washing up advert, and it talked about bubbles. Because when you put the washing liquid, many bubbles come. There was a mild green, fairy liquid. So he said, I was in Mayapur, I was in the Ganga, I was thought, this is the last moment, and I was thinking about that advertisement. He said, it's not so easy to think of Krishna at the end. If you want to think of Krishna at the end, then in your life you have to fall in love with Krishna. Therefore, in this verse it says, whatever your path is, whatever your emotion through your life is, that's what you will remember at the time of death. So what determines where you go to in your next life? The Bhagavatam explains in more detail. Karmana devane krena jantur deho kataye striya pradista udaram pumshadeita kanashraya. It's explained that three things are important. And these three things determine where you go in your next life. Number one, what you think about at death. Number two, what kind of activities you have performed in this life. And number three, whether you have any spiritual inclination or desire for Krishna consciousness. These are the three things which determine where you go in your next life. So I give you an example. Say, for example, at the end of someone's life, they meditate on living in a big house. Now say they got good karma because they've done many charity in their life. And number three, they don't have any spiritual desire. Then in their next life, Krishna may arrange, because they've got good karma, for them to be born in a very rich family where they live in a mansion. I'm just giving a simple example. Okay, understand? Now, say for example, someone thinks at the end of their life, I want to live in a big house, but they have bad karma. They didn't do so many good things in this life. and they don't have any spiritual desire. Then in the next life, Krishna may arrange for them to be the dog, security dog in a mansion. So can you see? Krishna still fulfilled your desire, but he fulfilled it according to your karma. Now say, for example, someone wants to live in a big house, they've got some good karma, but they also want to be a devotee of Krishna. Then in their next life, Krishna may arrange for them to take birth and live in Sri Radharanath temple. See? Krishna fulfilled the desire, but he fulfills it according to what you're thinking of, what you have karma for, and what your spiritual desire is. So these three things are very, very important. And most people don't know this science of how we reincarnate into different forms of life. So when I came to the Hare Krishna movement, one devotee said to me, there's good news and there's bad news. I said, good news first, please. Let's start on high. He said, the good news is because you've come to Krishna consciousness in this life, it means that in your last life you had already been doing this. I said, amazing. I knew I was like, I knew there was something special about me, you know? I said, what's the bad news? He said, the bad news is you messed it up. You still had some more material desires. There were still some more things that you were thinking about. There were still some more activities on the to-do list. And therefore you had to come back to this world again. So it's explained in our scriptures that unless by the end of this life we've completely given our heart and mind to God, unless we've achieved that level of consciousness, we can't go back to the spiritual world. Krishna does not force us. So if we still have some material desire, then we have to come back to this world. So gradually what we're trying to do in Krishna consciousness is we're trying to refine ourselves more and more and eventually come to the point where Krishna takes the first place in your heart. Who is given the first place in your heart? This is a very important question to ask, because this will determine where you go in your next life. So we say the first stage of Krishna consciousness is you give the first day of the week to Krishna. All of you should come to the temple on Sunday. The first day of the week, that's very nice. That's the first stage of your journey. The next stage of your journey is not just when you give the first day of the week to God, but you give the first hour of the day. In other words, every single day you do something to worship and connect with Krishna. Then that takes you to level 2. It's like one of those video games. You are now level 2. Then stage number 3 is you don't just give the first day, you don't just give the first hour, but what you do is you give the first portion of your plate. Whenever you cook, the first portion of the plate goes to Krishna. In other words, you never eat anything without first offering it to Krishna. Then they say, the next stage is you give the first portion of your wage to God. Oh, that was the thing. Yes, whenever we earn, we realize this money is coming to me by the grace of God. God owns everything in this world. So whenever something comes to me, I should offer always some portion of it back to God. So we should always give some. That's very nice. One time a priest he came in front of the congregation and he said, we have to build a church for $1 million. He said, there's good news and bad news. It happens like that. He said, the good news is the $1 million are there. The bad news is they're still in your pocket. So we should give some to Krishna, the first portion of the wage. And then when you advance further, you give the first choice in your decision making to Krishna. What do I mean by that? In life you have to make so many decisions, isn't it? Like where I'm going to live, what kind of degree I'm going to do, who I'm going to marry, like this. The first decision criteria is which decision will help me to serve Krishna better. When you give Krishna the first choice in your decision making, then it means you've come even closer to Krishna. And then eventually, after this, you can give your first place in your heart to Krishna. So like this, we go step by step. And eventually, we give our whole life to Krishna. So stage 1 was you give the first day of the... Stage 2 is you give the first hour of the... Third stage is you give the first portion of the... Fourth stage is you give the first portion of the... Yes, I know you didn't want to say that. Fifth stage is you give the first choice in decision making. And then eventually you give Krishna the first place in your heart. And Krishna says at the end of this life, if you give me the first place in your heart, then definitely you will remember me. Otherwise, if we don't, then we have to come back to this world. Say, oh, what's the problem? It's a nice world. Yes, it's a nice world, but it's also a world of struggle. It's a world of problems. Ma bhupetya punarjanma dukhalaya shashvatam. Dukhalaya, isn't it, in Hindi? There are many words like bhojanalaya means a restaurant. Vidyalaya means like a library. Or Aushadhyalaya means pharmacist, the place where you get medicine. So this world is known as Dukhalaya, place of misery. Because there's so many ways in which we can experience pain in this world, and very less ways of how we can experience pleasure. Therefore, Dukhalaya is always painful in this world. So therefore, Krishna says, why would you want to come back to this world? We should think deeply about this. That we're not meant to be here. This world is just a temporary place of misery, and ultimately Krishna arranges it that way so that we can realize where we're really meant to be. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita is so important because it's reminding us. Sometimes we have to remember these simple spiritual truths, that amidst everything we're doing in life, the main priority we need to make sure is that we don't come to this world again. Because if we come to this world again, many problems will also come to us. But not just that, we're not just trying to escape this world because it's full of problems, but we're trying to get out of this world because we're trying to get into the most beautiful world. The most beautiful world is the spiritual world where Krishna lives. And there, the realm is known as Vrindavan. Vrindavan is our true home. It's said in this world, dreams always exceed the reality. We have a dream of how it will be, and the reality is always much less. But in the spiritual world, the reality exceeds your wildest dreams. Therefore, it's a very, very amazing place. It's said that that's the place where all desires are fulfilled. Vrindavan is known as Chintamani Dham. Chintamani means a touchstone. So a touchstone means a stone which, whenever you touch it to something, it fulfills all desires. Therefore, that place is Vrindavan. So, right now we've forgotten all of these things. Right now we identify so much with our temporary identity. But actually we're none of these things. We're not man, we're not woman, we don't live in South Africa, we're not even householders, we're not even swamis. These are all just temporary roles. Naham vipro nacha narkatir napi vaishyo nasudro gopi bhartu padakamalayor das das anudas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm not a Sudra, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm not any of these things. I'm just one of those servants of the servants of the servants of Krishna. And please Krishna, pick me up from this world and place me as one of the atoms of the lotus feet. So therefore, yes, Avni, is it? Anvi. Switch to that. Anvi. So yes, you had your near-death experience at 10 years old, and you realize it could come at any time. Therefore now you want to learn the lessons of the Gita. Very good. So sometimes Krishna, what he does in our life is he sends an alarm clock. Isn't it? What do you do when the alarm clock goes off in the morning? Most people don't even hear it. In the Brahmachari ashram, we have 30 devotees, we all sleep in the same place. And the person who sets their alarm clock the earliest is the one who also sleeps the deepest. So everyone wakes up except them. So some people sleep through the alarm clock. Some people hear the alarm clock, but what do? They hit the snooze button. Yes, just now coming. And then some people, they hear the alarm clock and they realize it's difficult. Oh no, another day. One devotee once said to me, you know the distance between the material world and the spiritual world? He said it's the distance between your sleeping bag and the bathroom where the alarm goes on. If you can make that journey, then you can make that journey, no problem. So some people, even though the alarm clock goes off, but they wake up because they realize it's difficult now, but when I wake up, my life, I'll be able to do so many amazing things. So what Krishna does in our life is he sends alarm clocks. What we call these life quakes. Do they have earthquakes in South Africa? Not really. No, earthquakes are very unpredictable. They come at any time, in any place. So similarly in our life, sometimes there are life quakes, health crisis, relationship crisis, career crisis. So all of these are alarm clocks. Krishna is sending us a warning. And therefore we should not sleep through these. We should realize when the alarm clock comes, we have to wake up. Wake up to the reality. Jiva Jago. Jiva Jago. Wake up, sleeping soul. So most people, they are awake, but they're still sleeping. I hope no one's like that. In other words, they're living life, but they're sleeping to reality. They're not aware of why we're here, what the purpose of life is. So the Bhagavad Gita is our navigation on this journey. And so thank you, Andy. We went on this direction because of your comment. So thank you very much.
I also have another experience.
Okay, do you want to give her a mic so everyone can hear? I think in the future you will become a public speaker. You're very confident on the mic. Yes.
Thank you. When a few months ago, I was holding my laptop, trying to move some files into my drive. So then what happens is that I hold it up and then suddenly in my hand, I get electric shock. And then I scream. Then after a few seconds, my parents come inside. They were walking in the premises to get some fresh air. So first they thought that I was just screaming because a bug or a spider came up, because we usually do that because we are very scared when something comes. But when they heard the third scream, they came. So I was unconscious for a few seconds, and then I thought I was dreaming that I was in my mother's lap and my father was sitting next to me. The next second I would wake up, it's real.
Wow, okay. Maybe in the future you'll write a book about all of these experiences of yours. Very adventurous book. Yes, so it's like this. There are so many dangers in the world. And at every moment, Krishna is waking us up. Krishna is in our heart. Ishvara sarvabhutana vidyase arjuna tiskati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrabhutani mayaya. This body is like a machine, a yantra, and Krishna is directing us. And everything that happens in life happens for a reason. Nothing is random. Everything happens for a reason. And therefore, through all of these experiences, if we have the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, then every single experience that you go through, what it will do is it will reveal more of the truth of life to you. So every time we go through these different things, we can always see them through the lens of the Bhagavad Gita and learn a spiritual lesson from them. Thank you very much. Okay, so does anyone have any questions or anything? Yes, at the back, please. Can you give the mic to the person? Don't do any stunts on the way there.
Thank you so much, Your Grace. Please, I ask for forgiveness in advance, for my question might upset a few people. But I think it's pertinent because you spoke about death. So my question, I've been asking for a very, very long time. We hear in most religions, and especially in Hinduism, that the soul is untainted. There's nothing in the material element that would taint the soul. So having said that, why did we come here? Now I'm talking about the time before the accruement of karmic effects. The soul as entity has been pure, is pure. So this world we have just heard from you in this course now, it's a world of mystery, world of illusion. So what is the purpose of us coming here in the very first place? That now that we are here, we are seeking so ardently to leave. Furthermore, when you look at the Back to Godhead magazines, already a statement is there. Back to Godhead. So it means
we were there.
We were there.
So why did
we come? If perhaps Your Grace can enlighten us.
Thank you so much. This seems to be a frequently asked question in South Africa. So Srila Prabhupada explains that we all have free will. Without free will, there's no question of having prema vilas. Prema vilas means pastimes of love. There's no prema vilas without ichcha, or one's own desire, one's own free will, one's own volition. And so we're made with free will. And so Srila Prabhupada explains that we were all existing in the spiritual world with Krishna, but at a certain time, it's not that we were dissatisfied, but we just developed a curiosity to experience what it would be like to be separate from Krishna. So, therefore, Krishna creates an opportunity. Now you may say, why does Krishna create an opportunity? That's evil. But what would be more evil is if Krishna took away our free will. Therefore, Krishna can sometimes create a situation where we undergo a little bit of temporary suffering for an absolute good. And therefore, what Krishna does is he creates this world as an opportunity for us to live out those desires and experience what life is like to be separate from God. And then when we come here, then eventually we realize it's not what it's cracked up to be. And therefore, we realize, no, I exist in pastimes of love with God. And then we redevelop that desire to be back again with Krishna. So therefore, although our suffering in this world looks like it's of a huge magnitude, and why would Krishna send us to such a place? In the context of eternity, this is just like a flash. In one sense, Srila Prabhupada says we never even leave the spiritual world. In one sense we do, and in one other sense we don't, because this world is just like a bad dream. So sometimes, have you ever fell asleep for like a few minutes, like 3 minutes, and then you wake up and you're like, oh my God, like I've just been sleeping for like 6 hours or something. Actually, only 3 minutes have passed. So similarly, it's like that. This world is just like a flash in eternity, here for some time. A bad dream, a nightmare. And then eventually we wake up to the spiritual reality. So, yes, Krishna gives us that opportunity to come here. And through the pain of this world, he awakens us to the joy of the spiritual world. Like Srila Prabhupada gives an example sometimes that a child always wants to touch a moving fan, isn't it? Because they are interested, but then they get hurt. So what does the mother do? She turns the fan off, and when the fan slows down, and when the fan is fast enough to give some pain, but slow enough so that it doesn't cause any permanent damage, then what does the mother say? Touch it. Why? How could the mother do that? That's so unkind. No, the mother knows if this temporary little bit of pain is there, then the child will learn the lesson and will never get in a position where it can be permanently hurt. And so God is like that. He gives a measured amount of suffering for an absolute good. And therefore, that's what this world is designed for. And we come here because of free will. So that's generally how Srila Prabhupada explains it. Thank you for your question. Anyone else would like to ask a question?
Swamiji, thank you very much for your discourse. In fact, we should say that we are really very blessed today to have a person of your caliber to address us. I believe that many of us have been touched tonight with your spiritual discourse, where we come from and where we are heading. I know that in the past I've listened to some of your discourse, on YouTube, and I believe that you were formerly at the UCL. And at the UCL, this is a university where I was before, but I didn't study there for too long. But there is the effigy of one of the philosophers, and he was also an economist. And every year, I believe that when it comes to the faculty board meeting, they have to take his effigy out to attend one of the faculty board. And then he talks about happiness. And so I believe that...
Jeremy Bentham? Are you doing
exactly.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, and he has written a lot of...
UCL.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, let me finish my question. Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita talks a lot about the happiness. And there are a few slokas on how to search for happiness and how to find it, and in the context of the three modes of nature. And could you please elaborate on that so that people know they might be searching in the wrong way or in the wrong places, so that at the end of the day, they realize not only the material aspect of happiness, but also the spiritual happiness, which is much more enlightening, which is much more enriching actually. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Congratulations for going to UCL. Let me tell you a verse, history about UCL. So University College London. So in UK there were two universities which were very famous. You know what they are, right?
Cambridge.
No, not Wembley. Oxford and Cambridge, you've all heard, very eminent universities. So Oxford and Cambridge were theological universities where they studied about God. So therefore, if you go to Oxford and Cambridge today, then you can study theology because they were theological universities. But then, the third university in UK, the one which was created after Oxford and Cambridge, was the first atheistic university. And that university was UCL, University College London. It was founded by someone called Jeremy Bentham. And Jeremy Bentham, he didn't want any kind of theology to be studied. And Jeremy Bentham, his philosophy was utilitarianism. You understand? Utilitarianism. The tagline of utilitarianism is the greatest good for the greatest number of people. He says this is the philosophy by which we should live life. The greatest good for the greatest number of people. This should be the guiding philosophy of humanity. So I was very proud. I was going to UCL. So once I went to Soho Temple, I was visiting the temple. It's just 5 minutes from UCL. So I went to the devotee and I said, I go to UCL. And we follow the philosophy of the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And the devotee said, we follow a better philosophy. We follow the philosophy of the ultimate good for all people. That's Krishna consciousness. Ultimate good for all people. So then the devotee, as they do, he started giving me a lecture. I was like, I just came from lectures. So then he started giving me a whole lecture. And he said, in the world, when people try to find happiness, the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people, it will never work. Because in the material world, one person's happiness is based on another person's suffering. In the material world, if one person is winning, then it means another person is losing. Because happiness in the material world is always based on exploitation of others. Therefore, in the material world, when someone is suffering, then generally people secretly inside they feel a little happy. Yes. That's why we like to watch, isn't it? The soap operas and things. See other people struggling. It's okay. I feel better. And that's the material world. But in the spiritual world, pada dukkha dukkhi. When someone else is suffering, we feel their suffering as though it's our own suffering. And when we see their happiness, it gives us happiness. And so the devotee was explaining that there are different qualities of happiness. And the lower quality of happiness is material happiness, which is based on exploitation, which is based on taking. But spiritual happiness is based on unity, harmoniousness, service, and trying to uplift everyone to understand their relationship with God and find the ultimate happiness. So yes, there are many, many different philosophies and many, many different approaches in the world. But Krishna consciousness is the only one that can achieve the ultimate good for all people. And so, yes, this is the happiness that the Bhagavad Gita is teaching. And we want to share this happiness with the world, but we can only share this happiness with the world if we are experiencing this happiness first ourselves. And therefore, the first thing we want in the Hare Krishna temple is that everyone should become happy. Are you happy? Are you really happy? You must become happy. Srila Prabhupada said, if you're miserable, then it means you're in Maya. It means you're in illusion. Because when you're Krishna conscious, you can't be unhappy. Yes, we have good days and we have bad days and we have challenges sometimes. But basically, a devotee is always happy, always joyful. Susukham kartamavayam. Krishna says, this path is joyfully performed. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada once said to Hari Sauri Prabhu, sharing Krishna consciousness is very, very easy. Just show people how happy you are. Because in the world, people are not so happy. Happiness is very fleeting. In 2023, every April, they announce the World Happiness Survey. You know this? The happiest countries in the world. So in April 2023, they did the World Happiness Survey. They released the results. You know which country was on top? Finland. And you know the fourth country, the fourth happiest country in the world was Israel. And then what happened? 4 months later, when the paramilitary forces of Hamas came in and bombed the whole place out. That's how volatile the world is. What is happiness in this world? Is here one moment, gone the next. Therefore, dukkhalaya vishashvatam. There's no happiness here. Therefore, Jeremy Bentham, his motivation may have been good, but it was lacking knowledge. But we still like him. He made UCL. And we distribute prasad up there. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I don't know how we're doing for time. Was the schedules we're working with here? This clock doesn't seem to be working. It's like from the spiritual world. It seems to be timeless. The eternal present. No past, present, or future. Oh, it just doesn't like that. I feel also descended like the holy name. Like the Golok here, I'll play with her. It's not in the temple. Alright, so yeah, how are we doing with time? Are we going to call it a day? We're going to chant. Would you like to chant? Yes. That was very convincing. Would you like to chant? Yes. So we're going to sing. If you like, you can stand up, you can dance. It's nice to also dance for Krishna. Can you see? This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's dancing. When you're happy, you smile, you sing and dance. So don't be shy if you want to stand up and dance. So that would be very nice. He said that when you dance and you clap your hands, then all the birds of karma fly away. So we'll sing Hare Krishna. Please join us. Please clap your hands. Please sing. And then we also have some prasad for everyone. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Saraswati Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Saraswati Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Vamsikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shri Kund Radha Kundi Govardhan Ki Rajgoni Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Samadeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Nidai Gaura Premanande Om glories to the Son devotees, Om glories to the Son devotees, Om glories to the Son devotees, Om glories to the lotus feet of Shishi Guru, Gauranga.
Well, Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Maharaj, for your wonderful class and your ecstatic kirtan. Everybody, if we could do 3 times together, a big loud heart bowl for Maharaj. 1, 2, 3. Hari! 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 Thank you all for coming. This is a thoughtful Thursday, but it's not like most. We usually don't have such a great person speaking. But thanks for coming, everyone. A couple of pointers I'd like to address. First and foremost, there's prasadam downstairs. We cooked a lot. Hopefully it's enough. We'll find out. Second thing, it's pretty important. The Shrimhadev's appearance day, the festival, will be on the 22nd. What day is the 22nd? Does anyone know? Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. Well, it's close though. It's 2 days off. Not so bad. What's the next step? You got that right. Oh, you got it. Whoa. So yeah, we have the Shrimha Chatadashi on the 22nd. What's next though? We have a great yajna for the Shrimha Day, for the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and for everyone in the world. Sadly, not on the same day as the Shrimha Chatadashi, but no big deal. It's on the 5th. Just a couple days. So make sure you come. We only have a limited amount of spots for people who can participate in the yajna. Somebody said it was like 50. I can't remember. Maybe it's 50. Maybe it's 40. Maybe it's 30. I don't know. It's hard to say. But every Sunday, there's a program here at the temple. And every Thursday, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., we've made a space just for all of you to come. So if you have time, if you're not too busy in your life, show up. We'll try to have a good time. I think there's 2 other things I was asked to speak on. I'm trying to recall. I know there's one about a car blocking the driveway, so whoever owns that car is blocking the driveway. Please move it so some people can meet. And there was something else. Books. Books, yes. Books are very important. Make sure you take a book. Gita 3, yes? Where can they be found?
Surabhi, at the back.
Surabhi at the back, right there, the Mataji in the pink. And there's another thing. If you guys are interested in being a part of this wonderful temple, coming to the Sunday programs, the Thursday programs, please make sure to leave your phone number for that lady right over there in white. Now come up to you, can you raise your hand? Her. Can everyone see her?
Arriba!
Yeah? Alright. So please give your info to her. Let's have a good time. And I think I may be forgetting something, but forgive me. Prasadam's downstairs. Let's do this.
Hare Krishna. So Maharaj is going to be here till next Monday. So he has a few programs also in Durban on the 18th, which is the Saturday. There's a youth program at the new Jagannath Puri temple, which is in Phoenix. So it's a weekend, you can drive down, can't swim in the beach, we caught eye. So come for the program. And on Sunday, again at New Jagannath Puri temple, Maharaj will be doing the class, the Sunday Love Feast class day. So these two programs. We had a seminar from 4 to 7. It's fully booked. It's like more than 370 people have booked for that on the Sunday. So if you haven't booked for it, just gotta wait for Maharaj to come back. When next month? But he'll be back soon enough, and you will be informed. So look forward to doing those things. We're also launching the School of Bhakti, which is a project of Maharaj's started in the UK online for Bhaktivedanta Manor, and based online, but is now being localized in all parts of the world. So one of the branches will be here in South Africa, the School of Bhakti, and under Maharaj's training and the other devotees who have trained with Maharaj and under him, they will train some of the local teachers to present a lot of the content of the School of Bhakti. So keep an ear out for that. You can join those courses. All right, we may not be as dynamic as Maharaj is, but the mercy we hope to get through this project. Thank you very much, Maharaj. We're very excited to be with you in South Africa. So let's take as much association as possible. Hare Krishna!
Hare Krishna!
I remembered something. So there's another great soul. I'm sure you know him, and if you don't, no big deal. His name is Parthasarthi Maharaj. I believe he's going to be here on the 25th. Now, who knows what day the 25th is? So we don't have any idea. So 20 seconds is Srimad Chaturdasi, which is a Wednesday, yeah? Well, Friday. I think it's Friday. 25th. But I think it's the 25th of May. Just take that, write it down, and hopefully we'll see you there. And anyways, let's go take some prasad. Haribo.
So, Marge will autograph his books if you take them. You come forward.